Aha. Hey there, YouTube. Oh, it's been almost a week since I've been on to do a video on here. Today is Tuesday though, so as I like to say, Tinka Tuesday, I figured I'd try to come on today. I did end up working last Wednesday. I don't here at the club. I don't always do Wednesdays, but I really pushed myself to come in last Wednesday, and it was a very bad Wednesday for me to do that. It turned out to be a very difficult shift. It was just a bad choice on my part. There were so many other dancers working and just no customers, you know, so if you do the math there, yeah. I'm pretty sure I went up until, I did do the full 10-hour shift, and I went up until the very last hour of that shift, making $0 whatsoever. So the very last hour of the night when I went on stage, a few of the guys tipped me a few dollars. And that was, yeah, I was like, wow, that was like the 10th hour of me working that night. And not only that, like, the stage was just really bad, like really dirty. The lights were awful. Like, the lights that night were just, it was the kind of lighting where I'm noticing, like, I guess you would say, like, the so-called flaws or like imperfections on even like the most dancers that I would consider perfect in most lighting. Like, dancers that I always thought that were like perfect 10s, like flawless from head to toe here. There's a lot of dancers that work here at this club that look like that in most lighting that I've seen on stage, but there's certain types of lights that they'll use every now and then where there's different variations of bad lighting, but the lighting they were using on this past Wednesday when I was working, it was like I was noticing things even on the perfect 10s that I've never noticed before. Like, it's hard to explain. You'd have to actually see it like in person with your own eyes. I feel like it's that kind of thing. Just like every little line in their, like, I don't want to say stuff about other people. Like, it's hard to explain, but like I said, these dancers that I'm referring to, they're like perfect 10s in almost every other lighting that I've seen. So for there to be this kind of lighting that would bring out stuff that you would never notice otherwise, even in like broad daylight, you know what I mean? Even in like grocery store lighting, or like, I just don't know. It's almost like it's an illusion. Like, is that even real? Like, I've never noticed anything like that on them in any other kind of lights. Like the dressing room lighting, you know, like, in dressing room lighting is pretty like unfiltered, I'd want to say. Like, it's pretty just like kind of average lighting without any like special effects really. So these perfect 10s that I'm referring to, they look pretty much perfect even in the dressing room lights that I've seen. So I don't know what kind of lights they were using on stage this past Wednesday, but it was just really weird. And the stage floor, there was like little bits of glass all over the floor. Not all over the floor, thank gosh, but there were little pieces, and this does happen sometimes, like little bits of glass will get like tracked onto the stage floor. And so I'm trying like really hard to, like, you know, pay attention to that and pick them up carefully and toss them aside. There were like loose rhinestones coming off of somebody's outfit, and like, obviously rhinestones can hurt regardless of how they're shaped and what kind of rhinestones they are, but these particular rhinestones were like pointed up at the top. Like, they landed on like the flat bottom, but then they tapered off to like a point that was facing up. So if you were to like land on them, or like with your knees, or like put weight on them with like your knees or some part of your skin, your elbows, any part of your body really, it would hurt. So luckily that didn't happen for me because I was really trying to be careful, but it definitely could have happened. I mean, it was just a really bad night Wednesday. So, but this Wednesday is going to be the day before Thanksgiving. So I'm kind of torn, like if I should maybe try to push myself to still try again this Wednesday. I actually didn't work Sunday this week. I did try to. I like got fully dressed and ready, and it's funny because this is actually my 100th video on here. So my first video that I ever did was on a Saturday. So I really wanted to try to get out Saturday to do this, like my 100th video, and to do some grocery shopping. But I didn't get to do it. So I ended up doing my grocery shopping before trying to come into the club this past Sunday. And it just didn't work out time-wise. Like, I was really trying to rush to get to the club after I did my grocery shopping, but I'm about to start my period, like, any moment now, pretty much, and I was just so tired, and it was kind of like I had to choose between grocery shopping or going to the club to work, and, you know, I could have still come to work. Like, I had some stuff left at my apartment, but I just knew that if I didn't do grocery shopping, especially after working a 10-hour shift or even working at all, you know, like I would have just, it would have really sucked to like go back to an apartment with hardly anything to eat there. So, so yeah, I didn't work this past Sunday. I did work last night. That was pretty slow and, you know, not that exciting or anything, but hey, at least I was able to get in yesterday. So yeah, today is Tuesday and this is my 100th video. So I am actually over the data limit for the month now doing this video. And this is my first time doing a live stream or any kind of video on here being over my data. So I am a little nervous about it. I feel like, and I really do want this one to be decent quality since it's like my 100th video and all that. But yeah, I am a little worried about it, like how the upload speed is going to be with this and the stream quality. So hopefully it goes okay. I did manage to call my cellular provider on Wednesday night and ask them a little bit about that. And I asked them if there was a big difference between, because I knew it said the speed would go down being over my data limit. So I asked them if there was like much of a difference between download speed and upload speed. And they did say that it's generally the download speed that's affected more by that. So, and I'm pretty sure streaming is more of an upload kind of thing. So hopefully this one will go okay. I don't know. I guess I'll have to just try and see when I watch this back later, if I'm able to do that at some point. So, oh. Yeah, it was kind of weird because this past Sunday when I was doing my grocery shopping, normally I would work on Sundays, but I went to 2 different stores. I usually do my grocery shopping at 2 different stores. And so I went to the first one, and then, you know, like they both have different products and different prices and stuff like that. So when I was going to the second one, that was pretty much right at 4 o'clock, which is the time that I would try to sign into work by at the club. So pretty much right after I pulled into the parking lot of that second store, I'd say about 5 to 10 cop cars and also a fire engine, like a fire truck, pulled into the parking lot. And at this point, it was dark out. You know, like here, this time of year where I am, it gets dark out at 4 o'clock. So, and they all had their lights flashing. So like it's getting dark out. This is the exact time pretty much that I would be signing in to work at the club. So it was very strange timing. And it was literally right after I pulled into the parking lot. So they didn't have, at first, I think the fire engine had the sirens going, like for the sound effects. But eventually, after a few minutes of that, they shut the sound off, but they kept the lights going. So yeah, there were like probably between 5 and 10 cop cars, and then this fire truck with all their lights flashing. And I couldn't see anything, like, granted, yeah, it was dark out at that point, but I was still trying to look around a bit, and I really couldn't see anything to indicate why they would be there. But it was very, very strange, and also very strange timing, to where it really kind of just made me feel like, you know, anxious and uneasy and just like, what is going on, you know? But, and I kind of wanted to ask some people in the store. I still went into the store to, you know, do my grocery shopping, but I kind of wanted to ask some of the store employees if they had any idea, like, why they were there, what was going on, but I didn't. I just didn't want to entertain. I just wanted to put it out of my mind as best I could. It was just annoying. It was just obnoxious. Like, I'm kind of used to stuff like that happening every now and then, unfortunately. Like, there's a lot of weird timing, it seems, with me with stuff like that sometimes, to where I just feel weird. Like, I don't know, just, I guess I could have, thinking back now, I was like, well, maybe I could have tried to do a video just to, like, just so you guys can see that I'm not like completely crazy or making this up. I kind of wish that I had maybe done a video there to get that on film, but it was just making me really anxious, and I just kind of wanted to get out of there. I just wanted to, like, you know, get my stuff and go, pretty much. Like, it was just annoying, really, and just, yeah, making me anxious. So, and yeah, like, when I left the parking lot, I went a different way, because the area where most of them were parked with all their lights flashing was the same area that I had entered the parking lot, and where I would also normally exit that parking lot. So thank gosh they weren't around the other exit that there is on the other side. There's kind of like a roundabout. This store is in an area with a lot of other stores and stuff around. So there's like a roundabout on the other side and a bunch of other ways that you can get out of that area. But I hardly ever go that way because roundabouts confuse me, but I did end up going that way that night because I didn't want to go the way that I would normally go, because that's where all these, you know, cops and the fire engine were parked with their lights flashing. I really couldn't see over there, but I was like, all right, I'll just try to like exit stage left and try to go the other way. And so that's what I did. But yeah, anyway. So, and actually that reminds me, the lipstick that I'm wearing right now, I found this here in my locker at the club last night. So I had originally wanted, when I say found it, I mean I had been looking for it for a while up until last night. And I had originally wanted to wear this. There's a video that I did, I think it was probably, I don't know, a few months back. It was for a vitamin water review. I used to do drink reviews every now and then just to like give myself an idea of like types of videos to do, just like for fun, I guess, and like match my outfits and my makeup sometimes with like the different colors of drinks, and just like cheesy, I know. But so there was a vitamin water that was blue. It was pretty much this color, actually. I forget what it was called. I think it was like Elevate or something. But you guys can probably see if you look the thumbnail. I ended up going with a different blue lipstick that I was able to find, but the blue lipstick that I ended up wearing for that video to try to match the drink, it was a different shade of blue. It was a lot brighter. It was like a lighter, brighter shade. And now I can't find that lipstick now that I think about it. Holy crap. Oh my gosh, that's so weird. Or maybe I haven't really looked for that one too much yet, but I do remember because the color of the drink was really this color of this lipstick. So I was looking for this lipstick specifically for that video originally. And I know that the spot that I found it in this little makeup bag that I have here in my locker at the club, I know that I had looked in that makeup bag. And there's not that many things in that makeup bag right now. There's just a small, less than a handful, maybe like just, I don't know, 4 or 5 items in there. It's not like a full stuffed makeup bag to where it's hard to find stuff. There's just a few things in there. So when I say that I looked for this lipstick in there, I looked. I took everything out. It was not in there. It was not in that makeup bag. And like I looked in that makeup bag. It's not like I have a ton of makeup bags. That's pretty much the only one that I've been using lately. I looked in there more than once, very specifically. It's not like, you know, absent-mindedly, like I know that I did that more than once, quite a few times actually, to really make sure that it wasn't in there, and it was not in there. And lo and behold, it was in there last night. So that kind of, like I said, that kind of thing, like weird things like that happen to me a lot. And I have had stuff go missing from my locker before. I've had stuff go missing from my car and my apartment. So I don't know, like, I guess it's just one of those things. But I try not to dwell on it. I've definitely mentioned it on here in other videos many, many times before. But other than that, I try my best not to dwell on it. But it is obviously very frustrating. I mean, it's scary and it's frustrating. And it's just obnoxious. You know, I'm really just sick of this shit, to be honest. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, well, what can you do really, I guess? Like, what am I supposed to do about that kind of thing? Yeah. You know, this is my 100th video, so I want to try to keep this positive and happy, but realistically, like, my channel is not so much, you know, that kind of channel. And I said that off the bat when I first started it. I was like, you know, to anyone that watches this stuff, possibly anyone that's ever able to see these videos, maybe, you know, there's gonna be some stuff on here that's just me trying to at least address a lot of really difficult stuff, at least stuff that I find difficult personally with how I've experienced it and tried my best to deal with it, or just whatever you'd call it. So I mean, yeah, it's getting dark out right now. So it's been rough. I I'm trying my best not to give up. I mean, that's really not an option for me. That's not an option for me, really. I mean, I don't have anyone, I don't have any help with anything, family or otherwise. I'm all on my own and I do everything by myself as best I can, but it's just, it's like this uphill losing battle every single moment, it feels like, pretty much, and still haven't really figured anything out as far as how to try to make things better, I guess. You know, yeah, this is my 100th video on here, so I do want to try to continue with this channel and, you know, continue working here at the club. You know, the thing is, I really don't get paid I work very hard at this stuff. I work very hard at the club. And I have for a very long time. And I didn't do last night was one of the rare times where I wasn't really going on the pole that much, mainly because I'm about to start my period and just feeling awful. I was also wearing fishnets, so with a like lace top, like lace. Usually where I grip the pole or try to grip the pole is like the top of my thighs the most, besides my hands, obviously, but also as far as my legs, it's usually kind of like the top area of my thighs. And the fishnets that I was wearing, it's a certain style where I can't just pull them down to my ankles to climb the pole. Like the ones that I'm wearing today, well, they're falling down, but like these ones, they're not attached to like a garter belt. So these ones can just be pulled down like to my shoes and to my ankles if I want to try to climb the pole. But the ones that I was wearing last night, it's not just like they're clipped onto a garter belt, it's actually like the entire, it's like a fabric garter belt, so it's like sewn to be that kind of style. I have them with me right now just to show. So I have these in pink too. And yes, I am a very cheesy person. I do wear red a lot when I'm about to start my period. And also, you know, December and Christmas is coming up. Oh, which reminds me, I've been wanting to wear this dress on here for a very long time. It is obviously cold here today. It's like the end of November, but not as cold as it's been. I think it was like 50 degrees today. So 50 degrees for this time of year, and compared to how it's been lately, 50 degrees, this is like warm practically compared to how it's been recently and lately. So I have been wanting to wear this green dress for a very long time. I haven't worn this dress here on this channel yet, but I've been thinking about it because I've always really liked this dress, like the fabric and the color. And since, yeah, December's coming up, I have a lot of different red accessories that I'm gonna try to like match with this, like be all choosy, like red and green for Christmas or whatever. But anyways, most of the things that I've worn here in this channel, I try not to wear like repeatedly, like wear the same thing over and over. I try to come up with new stuff. But this dress, I love this dress so much. Anytime that it's not like completely freezing, I mean, it pretty much always is nowadays, but anytime that I can like physically handle it temperature wise, I'm going to try to wear this dress just because I love it so much. So this might be a repeat outfit, but I'm going to try to like mix it up with like, yeah, different accessories, like red accessories and that kind of thing. Anyway, so this is what I was wearing last night. So this lace top, this lace ends up hitting a section of my thighs. That's pretty much exactly where I would try to grip the pole for dear life. So, and lace is obviously very slippery. So this lace was right there at that spot on my legs. And then this is all attached by fabric. So this part comes up to my waist. This is like a garter belt kind of thing. So I can't just, like the stockings I'm wearing now, I can't just pull these down to my ankles to, you know, have more of the skin on my legs to try to grip the pole with, like I normally would with the ones that I'm wearing now that are not like with the garter belt attached like these are. So yeah, I just wasn't doing a lot on the pole last night. It was my point with that. Like I would normally try to do, you know, normally here I go on the pole quite a lot, and it depends on who's working. I mean, you really can't predict very much of anything of how things are going to be here at this club. The dancers here as contractors, we make our own hours, our own schedule. So depending on which other dancers are working, like lately I've been doing the slower nights, like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday night. And that's still somewhat recent for me. A lot of times I've done day shifts. So again, depending on which other dancers are here when I'm here, there have been quite a few times where I've had customers remark to me that, you know, I'm one of the few or even sometimes the only dancer going on the pole, one of the few dancers that they see going up and doing pole tricks and stuff like that. You know, like compared to like a Friday or Saturday night, it's a lot more likely that there'll be dancers going on the pole, like more often, and it's just a more common thing to see. on a Friday or a Saturday night and that kind of thing. So I'm a very pole and stage oriented dancer here, but it doesn't really seem to garner me any like admirers or people that like in the moment. Yeah, sometimes people will like people I've never seen before, never met before, might remark about that and kind of like seem to appreciate that like short term in that moment, but they're not like regulars of mine. Like I don't have regulars still to this day. I just don't have any customers that come in to see me like repeatedly. Um, that kind of thing. So for me, the amount of pole work and stage work that I do here, a lot of it just seems not pointless and not like useless, but it just doesn't really seem to matter to anybody else. It's more of something that just matters to me. And it's like a personal thing. It's just like a personal, it's something that matters to me, and it's something that I try to do to try to get myself in shape or to try to stay in shape as best I can. It's like a personal pride and like victory just to prove to myself that I'm capable of doing that kind of thing. But as far as the customers, most customers really don't seem to care at all. Like, and even last night, I wasn't going on the pole like I normally do. And if anything, I got tipped more than I normally would going on the pole. So go figure. I don't know. It's just kind of weird like that sometimes. And yeah, now that I think about it, I don't remember seeing any other dancers going on the pole last night. Maybe some did just when I wasn't there to see it or that I just didn't notice, but there'll be quite a few shifts now that I really think about it where I don't see other dancers really going on the pole at all. So I guess, yeah, the club here that I work at, that's just not a requirement at all, and it doesn't really seem to be all that appreciated a lot of the time, to where a lot of times I'm like, why do I bother? You know, just, oh my gosh. It's like a personal like achievement kind of thing, and just about fitness and that kind of thing for me. But it is really frustrating just, like all these years that I've worked here doing this, just busting my ass and working so hard to try to do that stuff. And it's like, still to this day, I have zero not even regulars, but like I have zero people come in to see me for that. Zero. I mean, absolutely nobody gives a flying frick. Like they just, and I don't like suck up that much to a lot of customers here or like bend over backwards. Like, you know what I mean? Like every single second to try to like get them to be interested in me or tip me and hustle guys and that kind of thing. But I do try. I still do try to talk to people as best I can, and I still push myself. And like even last night I did a VIP. Most of the time I don't do VIPs because I just don't, it's just not my thing. A lot of times it really makes me uncomfortable and it's just a little too touchy-feely for me personally. It depends on the guy. Some guys are respectful and they'll ask and like, "Oh, are you okay with touching?" But and I really, really, really appreciate that when guys do that and when they're like that. But a lot of times they're not like that. And, they want to get as much bang for their buck as they can or try to. And especially with VIP, a lot of times that does tend to be the case, at least for me. So, and I have sexual trauma from my past and I just have a lot of issues. So, PTSD from a lot of various different things. So it is a lot for me and like back in the day, I used to mostly push myself to do that kind of thing just because, like to tip the DJs that I used to work with because they were giving me such a hard time and like a hassle about me tipping them and that kind of thing. Luckily that was a while ago. That was like years and years ago. So, you know, these days, thank gosh, I don't feel as much pressure to try to like push my boundaries as much as far as that kind of thing. But even just doing this job at all, it's really a lot for me, you know, to even be in a strip club in the first place, you know, basically. And it's frustrating. Like most of what I like to do here is just being on stage, but you know, I understand like maybe the majority of guys like not coming in just for that, but I would want to think after as long as I've been here, there would be at least some exception to that rule, like some guys, you know what I mean? Because yeah, like I like to have conversation. I try to be like attentive and respectful, and even after I've done VIPs in the past, I've been like, "Oh, if you wanna still hang out downstairs, you know, like, we can do that, like, we can do back rubs while we watch the stage for other dancers," or just so they don't feel like they have to just, like, leave and then, like, be sad and lonely again, if that's how they felt, I don't know, but, like, you know how, like, when something fun and enjoyable is over, it's kind of like a letdown? So, I know that I hate that feeling, so a lot of times what I'll try to do when I have done a VIP room in the past is afterwards I'll be like, "Oh, like, I'm just gonna freshen up and, like, you know, try to, you know, get myself together." But, you know, I'll be back downstairs, on stage pretty soon, so if you wanna still, hang out here at the club, I'll try to look for you in a few minutes, that kinda thing. But that just never really seemed to matter or get me anywhere with that kind of, you know, like, they just don't seem to, like, appreciate that or care. Which I understand that too, but again, after all these years, I would wanna think that there would be at least some people, you know what I mean? Like, somebody, like, come on, like, after all this time. And with me going on the pole as much as I do and on the stage, I feel like I'm one of the top performers with that. I mean, that's hard to say now because it has been a while since I've done a Friday or a Saturday night, but, you know, it still hasn't been that long. I don't know exactly how long it's been, maybe a year or so, but regardless, I mean, the stuff that I still do on the pole now, most of the time, and on stage and stuff, I mean, I feel like I'm still pretty much one of the top performers on stage and going on the pole and stuff. So for me, I feel like I'm not really able to work Friday and Saturday night, which sucks because, you know, being on stage, that's my kind of thing. That's like my favorite part of dancing, pretty much. So Friday and Saturday nights, that's pretty much the prime time for the stage and for that kind of thing, for like the pole tricks and to put on a show for the crowd that way. But you know, because of the issues that I've had with other DJs in the past, not the ones that work here now, thankfully, but just because of how it's been in the past for me with other DJs, that still lingers and I'm still so affected by that. And, you know, I also have untreated anxiety. So it's like the crowds and all of that stuff that comes with just the flashing lights and, you know, the kind of stuff that comes with that kind of crowded, busy, crazy Friday, Saturday night vibe. It's very overwhelming for me. And yeah, I mean, I have PTSD and untreated anxiety and all kinds of issues that are not dealt with or, you know, I don't know how to try to address them or deal with them. Address them maybe, but I don't really know how to try to deal with them because I don't have health insurance or go to doctors or have a therapist or anything like that. I can't afford it, you know. Um, or even if I could, I wouldn't want to spend the money on that because I'm all alone in life. I have to try to hold on to every little cent that I have, I feel like, because I never know what's going to happen. And anything that happens, I have to deal with completely by myself. Again, I have nobody to help with anything. So it is all very scary for me with that. And then also on Friday and Saturday nights, they use this smoke machine, this smoke stuff that I'm very allergic to. It's like an oil-based product that they completely flood the club with. So, I mean, they completely smoke the place out to where you can't see, you can't breathe. Even now, even when it's not being used, the nights that I try to work where it's not being used, I still feel it in my lungs, just like lingering from how much they use it on the weekends, you know? And it's just like, I mean, I get rashes from it, I get nosebleeds. Just, I think I might have had hair loss from it, or possibly partly from that. I was in a smoky room when I was a teenager and I almost died, so I have part of my PTSD is from that. Again, it's oil-based, so it coats the pole. The pole is already so slippery on its own. It's ridiculous, but this smoke stuff is like coating continuously that pole in oil. So it's just unbelievably slippery. So, you know, it's already dangerous enough. It's like a 15-foot pole here to be going on there. It's already, and it's not, again, it's not necessary. It's not a requirement here at this club. So to do that when it's that much more slippery on a busy Friday or Saturday night, I'm bald and I have wigs. I think part of my hair loss might actually be from my allergy to that smoke stuff. So I've had my wig come off my head when I was upside down in the pole on like a busy weekend night, like Friday or Saturday night before. Thankfully that wasn't recently, but you know, it's always going to be like this traumatic thing in my mind and my soul. So long story short with that, I just don't feel able to work Friday and Saturday nights here, which really sucks because otherwise the stuff that I like to do on the pole and on stage, I feel like I'm in some ways, a lot of ways actually, I feel like I'm built for Friday and Saturday nights to put on a show for the crowd like that. But there's, you know, these factors beyond my control that just really mess that up for me. So it's all pretty miserable and ridiculous for me with all of that. You know, yeah, I have a lot of undiagnosed, untreated issues, and it really sucks when the few people in your life know that and consciously choose to just like abandon you and leave you to your own devices regardless of all that kind of crap. I mean, I don't talk to my mother very often, but I was speaking with her on the telephone. I haven't seen her in person since probably 2014, so over 10 years now. But I was speaking with her on the telephone at the, at the end of October, because the end of October, it was my birthday. Yay, thanks, Mom. So glad you decided to have me. So we were talking then on the telephone, and she told me that my biological dad had, she left him, I guess, when I was a small child. And all these years, I mean, I'm like 37 now, so pretty much my entire life, I kind of got the gist from her. She pretty much, I remember her making it sound and seem as though he had left her. But last time we talked and we were kind of talking about that kind of thing, she said that she had left him. So, you know, it's like, all right, whatever. You know, she had her reasons and she got into some of that. I guess, you know, like he was abusive and cheating on her and yada yada, you know, that kind of stuff. So, but it's like, all right, you should have known, you must have realized like she was going to be pretty much my only chance in this life to have any kind of guidance or any kind of support from anybody. And she kind of just said, fuck you, and pieced out of the picture for the most part, you know. Yeah, we still talk on the phone from time to time, but what good is that, really? I mean, 9 times out of 10, talking to her makes me feel worse than before we talked. Not always, and not 100%, but definitely to what I feel is a pretty significant significant extent. And then my younger brother, his dad adopted me when I was, I guess, like 2 years old. So I guess he's like legally still my father on paper, but it's like, all right, well, personally, I can kind of see him being off the hook with that once I turned 18 and all of that kind of thing. But if he's legally still my father, then like why I would, kind of hope that maybe he would still try to um reach out and support me and like still be in my life, I guess, basically, but that's not the case. And it is very painful and confusing. But, I don't want to dwell on that or to like have a lot of animosity towards him about that because, like I still try my best to respect that decision for him. Like he has his own life and his own family now, and I'm obviously like an adult and I'm almost 40 years old. So it's like, get over it and be a big girl and do what you can all by yourself, I guess. But again, it more so for me comes back to my mother where it's like, well, she must kind of have some kind of realization, like she was pretty much my only chance to not be completely left to my own devices, but that's pretty much how I feel. It's like anything that happens, anything that goes wrong, I don't, it's like I just got to deal with it myself pretty much. So and me being a dancer, a stripper in the adult industry, not really, the economy and this club is so slow lately and I don't really make money here, which is tough. But also like, I'm trying lately to give myself more of a sense of meaning and purpose and like here with my YouTube, trying to address this stuff and, just talk about stuff that matters to me and not even just with my personal life, but the world at large sometimes, like issues that I think about sometimes and that matter to me and that I'd like to try to make a positive difference with, if that were possible. I mean, me just being this powerless, meaningless little speck of dust on this planet, like my opinions, my thoughts have never really seemed to matter to anybody. But so it's really difficult for me to try to still try to voice my opinions and to try to make a positive difference in some way, shape, or form. Because again, I just don't really feel able to make a difference or a positive impact on the world. I don't really feel capable of doing much of anything other than just trying my best to barely survive, you know what I mean? Just to barely scrape by all on my own. But, yeah, nothing that I've ever thought or felt or cared about has seemed to matter to anybody else on the face of this earth ever. It just doesn't matter unless it's like them wanting to just watch me struggle so they can point and laugh, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, like with my YouTube, I'm still at least trying, just to at least voice the things that matter to me and that I would like to try to make a positive difference in regards to, like, if I were ever able to have that ability or opportunity or, yeah, to ever be able to do that kind of thing. But so for me, I do really enjoy being on YouTube a lot of the time. I really look forward to coming on here. And it does still give me that little bit of extra sense of somewhat of a sense of purpose and meaning, that I'm not really able to find in my life otherwise. But so, yes, I do have fun being on YouTube, but with how I approach it and how the stuff that I'm trying to address and talk about on here, it really is work for me, it feels like. you know, like, but it's, again, it's work that I'm not paid for. And that's fine. Like, you know, it's supposed to be more of a hobby for me. And but I'm just so used to not being paid for my work. And I had a lot of shit go down in high school to where I moved out of my parents' house when pretty much as soon as I turned 18. Technically, it was before I turned 18, but it was right around that time. And it's like ever since then, being on my own like that, I mean, back then I had a boyfriend, so that was one thing. But even being in a relationship back then and splitting the bills that way, you know, back then, pretty much that entire relationship after high school, when I had first moved out of my parents' house, that was way before I started dancing. We were together for 5 years, and that entire time, I was not a dancer. I had regular jobs. And even splitting the bills with that boyfriend that I had at the time, those regular jobs that I had, you know, we were still barely scraping by. We were still barely able to pay the bills and that kind of thing. So it's just like, and now me being a stripper, I barely make money here doing this. And yeah, with my YouTube, it's a lot of work for me, and it's work that I do enjoy, but again, it's work that I don't get paid for. And even if I were to like eventually get 1,000 subscribers, it's like I really don't want to have to put ads on my videos, because it's like, you know, I don't know, having like 1,000 or so subscribers, I I don't know exactly how much that might make for income on YouTube, but I highly doubt that it would be a whole heck of a lot. And I feel like it would disrupt, I guess, the quality that I would want to try to have for my videos. I don't know, like, I just know that when I watch my videos back sometimes on YouTube, back at my apartment from my laptop, it's so nice to finally be able to watch videos without ads because the ads just drive me nuts. And I know that there are ad blockers, like ad blocker downloads and apps and software. My younger brother actually recommended an ad blocker to me, but you know, it's like something you have to download, I guess, and I just don't trust stuff like that. And my laptop is already messed up enough, and it always says that it's maxed out on storage. And again, like stuff these days, especially with apps and downloads, I just don't trust stuff like that. It's too much of a hassle and a process and a confusing thing for me, so I haven't bothered with that. I just deal with the ads as best I can when I watch stuff on YouTube, like recreationally, back on my laptop at my apartment. But yeah, so when I watch my own videos, it is really nice to finally be able to watch stuff without the ads. And I don't want to mess that up. I just don't like ads. I understand why they're necessary, but my plan, I don't want to put ads on my YouTube. Unless, like, you know, if I were to suddenly get like a whole bunch of subscribers, like tens of thousands, or like a really high number to where it seemed like maybe like the amount of income would actually be significant, or like really, you know, make that much of a difference for me, which I highly doubt would ever happen. With the kind of stuff that I talk about in my channel and the way that I approach my channel, I highly, highly doubt that I would ever get a large amount of subscribers. I mean, or views or anything like that. For the number of subscribers and views that I have now, I even doubt that, to where I'm like, this probably isn't even real. It's probably just bots and like an illusion anyways. So, you know, because I'm too honest, and like the stuff that I talk about is just, it's not me stuffing my face full of like McDonald's for a mukbang. Like that's the kind of stuff that really seems to get like millions of views these days, you know? So it's like, so that's just the world that we live in, you know? It seems. But anyways, so I highly doubt that I would ever like really make money from my YouTube, and that's fine. I mean, I knew that going into it. But my point is just that I work really, really, really hard at stuff that matters to me, like my YouTube and here at the club. And I just don't really have any kind of income, it feels like, that really, you know what I mean? It's like, but I do have money in my bank account. I do have a savings, thankfully, that somebody left me. I used to be a caregiver and I used to work with old people. So that was like one really amazing thing that happened to me in my life, where before one of the people that I worked with had passed away, they did leave me a relatively significant amount that really, is just like, thank gosh. But it's kind of one of those weird things, because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't qualify for things like healthcare or financial assistance. Um, I definitely could I probably really should have things like healthcare and a doctor and a therapist and stuff like that. Um, I I know that I have a lot of issues and a lot of undiagnosed, untreated ailments, physically, mentally, like all kinds of, just a very long list of stuff, to where I'm pretty sure I could probably be on disability in theory, but that's probably never going to be able to happen if I did want to. I'm just kind of stuck on my own, trying to scrape by on my own without help from anyone or anything. It seems like that's just how it's always going to be. But again, in theory, there's such a long list of stuff that I struggle with, where it's like, if I wasn't trapped in this, where I am and how I am, then maybe. But it's like, I have a savings somewhat in my bank account. So again, I'm pretty sure if you have anything like that, you don't qualify for any kind of assistance financially. So me knowing that I'm never going to have or qualify for that kind of assistance, like I really do need, like this past Sunday, and this happens so often, it takes everything for me to get myself out of my heatless apartment. I don't have the heat on. This is my 4th winter with no heat. For me to get myself out of my apartment just to get to the grocery store. Granted, the grocery stores that I go to are like less than 5 miles from my apartment, but it takes absolutely everything that I have to get myself, even just to get to the grocery stores. And me going to those 2 grocery stores, that was my entire like Sunday. I didn't have the energy, or I didn't have the time, it felt like, for me to come into work like I had intended to or wanted to later that day or that night. So it's like, I'm just barely scraping by pretty much. And for me to get here into the club when I am able to, especially when it's cold out like this in the winter times and the storms and stuff, it takes everything that I have and more, much more than I actually do have in me at this point, especially. And it's like, I'm really not making very much money here to where it feels like an actual income. Pretty much ever since I moved out of my mom's house at 18, or my parents' house, I guess it was her husband's house, but I've just wanted to have a job, like an actual good job. And yes, technically, like I said, back when I was with my ex, after high school for 5 years, we were together, when I was very, very young, early 20s. I did have a lot of regular jobs back then. But yeah, even being in a relationship, splitting the bills at that time, it just wasn't enough of an income, even being with somebody else. So, and since I've been a dancer, like I said, I used to be a caregiver. So I have had, throughout even the time that I've been single and dancing, I've had regular jobs. But it's like, the way this economy is set up, it's damn near impossible to get by as a single person with a regular job, like minimum wage kind of income. With the caregiving job, I was working 40 hours or more, pretty much, and it's just damn near impossible. When you're all on your own and you have no assistance and no help from anyone or anything, it's like, so yeah, the person that left me a bit of money before they died, that was like, I don't know what I would have done if that hadn't happened, because it's just damn near impossible, it seems, to to get by as a single person with a regular job, you know, minimum wage kind of job that I would qualify for. And back then, before they left me that, I was doing 40 hours a lot of times with that job, with the caregiving. But that was very, very difficult for me to get those hours. And I was running myself into the ground, making myself very sick. I mean, I have no hair now. I have no hair in my head. I have no eyelashes or eyebrows. My body is sick and I don't have health care, you know? So I wasn't sleeping. But that was back in like 2020 when the club was closed for COVID. COVID, almost funny how COVID almost sounds like covert. And there's all kinds of stuff that I could mention with that too, but I don't want to get into that right now. But for me, I know that I wouldn't be able to work 40 hours with any kind of job now. My body just can't do it. I don't sleep. I have insomnia. I don't sleep at night. I have such immense trauma and PTSD. I have to barricade my door for me to feel okay trying to sleep, even just during the day. I just never feel safe. I've had stuff go missing from my car, my apartment, even my locker here at work. So, and it's so bad to where with stuff going missing from all three of those locations, you know what, I carry around this like 15-pound backpack that I can barely even fucking lift. It's so painful and so heavy to even try to pick that thing up. But I just feel like anything that I don't have on my immediate person at all times is liable to go missing. You know, and it's like I have no one and nothing. So it's like I try to carry everything that I can think that I might need with me at all times in that bag. But it's very, very heavy and very, very draining. And it's exhausting. But it's to the point where I'm even scared of stuff going missing from that bag. And it's right next to me when I do sleep. It's like right there. But it's so stuffed full of things that I don't even know everything that's in there. And I can barely lift it. When I'm leafing through it trying to find things, it's so stuffed that I can't even find stuff in there. But so when I'm having a difficult time trying to locate something in there, I have this fear that this all powerful thing has even been able to get into that bag in my apartment when I'm sleeping. And then that kind of like triggers this like potential like fear of like childhood, maybe sexual trauma when I was sleeping or something like that. I don't even know if that kind of thing would have happened. It probably didn't, but there's just this fear in me that it could have, because I mean, if I was this poor, helpless, defenseless child, it could have happened. You know, like I hate the thought of me being this little child where anything could have happened to me. And now with stuff going missing from my car and my apartment and my locker at work, which is locked, by the way, or it should be, I always lock the lock on it. It's like, if stuff has gone missing from all three of those things, then whatever is making that happen, even my stuff that's locked at my apartment and my fridge, I used to have like 2 or 3 locks on it. Now it's just 1, but I'm pretty sure even from that stuff has gone missing or been messed with. So it's like, whatever is doing this, it's like all powerful and they can do anything. So if they can do all that, they can probably get into my bag when I'm sleeping in my apartment. They can get into my apartment somehow. And I don't know how, but it's like, it's just this terrifying fear of like, how could that be possible? But there must be a way, because there's just something out there that can do anything they want to me. Like they can just do anything. And I am just defenseless and powerless and meaningless, and that's just how it is. I guess. It seems. Apparently. Yeah, it really freaks me out. And like, you know, when I get back to my apartment, I check every nook and cranny that I can think to check. I check everything. And I barricade the door. I there is like piles of that's another reason it's so difficult for me to get out of my apartment, to like come out and try to like come into work or do something with my day or my night, because there's boxes and boxes, heavy boxes piled in front of the door, like wedged, not just piled, but wedged in between the door and the fridge, to where I'm sure somebody could still get in there if they really wanted to, but I'd want to think it would at least wake me up. If I were sleeping, I would at least hear it, because they would have to really like they would have to really like work to get in there, I'm pretty sure. But then I'm like, oh, well, they could probably drug me in my sleep through the air. They could send something in through the vents to keep me unconscious. Like, I don't even have the heat on, but that doesn't matter, because this thing that's out to get me is so all powerful. They could, in the air, they could just set off this drugs in the air that could like keep me unconscious and defenseless. And this is how my brain works now, unfortunately, because there's been so much bullshit sent my way and thrust upon me, and just so much trauma and so much just fucking horrible, just a nightmare, just an absolute nightmare from pretty much day one. And it's like, yeah, it's pretty awful. It's pretty terrifying. And I laugh when I say stuff like this, but my brain doesn't know how else to cope, I guess. Like, I'm not gonna just sit here and cry the whole time I talk about this. But it is really scary. It's just ridiculous. It's like, and ever since I moved out all those years ago when I was 18, it's like, if I could just have a job that paid well enough to where I could really have an income and a life, you know, like some kind of quality of life, where I could have the heat on in my apartment, and where I didn't feel the need to lug everything around with me in this huge heavy bag that I can barely lift. You know, so I could maybe go do enjoyable things. So I could maybe travel, or, I mean, I'm terrified to travel. I'm terrified to drive 5 minutes down the road. But, you know, if maybe I wouldn't, you know, if I could actually have a real job, a real income to support myself, and not have to be in this abusive relationship just to try to get by, you know, because every relationship that I have been in has been abusive. I've been single since 2012, which is quite a while now, over 10 years, definitely. But yeah, I mean, if only I could just have some kind of decent job to support myself as a single person, and still make enough to get by. You know what I mean? And still have some kind of quality of life without having to be sexual with somebody, without having to be in a relationship, without having to relive sexual trauma and abusive relationship trauma. You know, I don't want to have to use my body in a way that I don't want to use it to do that. Granted, that's pretty much any job, but just like a decent regular job. But it's, again, it's like the way this world is set up, and the way it's like, it just seems so impossible. You know, I guess what had gotten me thinking about that a lot recently is my favorite manager here at the club is going to be leaving next spring. And so I've kind of wondered, like, who's going to be the next manager? And there are 2 female managers here at the club. They've been managers for a while, actually. And, you know, I just struggle so much with the dancing. And I think one of the main reasons that's drawn me to being a dancer is because, you know, I'm pretty sure I do have disabilities to where I just can't hold down a regular schedule. I've tried very, very hard many, many times in the past to hold down a regular schedule and a regular kind of job. It's just never lasted, because I have so many health issues and I don't sleep, and the anxiety of knowing that I have to be at a place at a certain time when I don't sleep, it makes it that much more difficult for me, especially to try to sleep beforehand, just knowing that I have to be there at this specific time. And then especially living where I live or existing where I exist with all this, the winter and the storms, you know. But then I was thinking, because, you know, like I would probably never get to be a manager here, but I was kind of thinking about that a little bit in my head. Like, what a cool, if only that could be a possibility. Because I would want to think that I know this club pretty well by now. And even being a dancer, like so many times in the past, I've tried to do things in a way where I would feel like other dancers, where it would be good not just for me, but for the other people working as well. You know, like after I've like talked to a guy, or like if they say that they like another dancer, I would, you know, try to tell that dancer. Or if they seem like they're going to stay at the club longer after they've talked with me or done a dance with me, I would maybe recommend another dancer, like that kind of thing. Or some guys will dance with more than one dancer at a time. So if that's ever a possibility for a guy, if they seem like that type, I'll try to do that kind of thing. Try to encourage guys to tip other dancers on the stage. I just try to think of the big picture with that kind of thing. Like if it's good for other people in the club, it's good for the club as a whole, and it's good for me that way. So I want to think that I would have kind of like managerial, what's the word? Like strengths, or I have to put my car on because my phone's, capabilities, like in that regard. I think the biggest thing that I would struggle with is like the computer stuff, because the computer stuff is just so confusing to me. Like with so many things, I just suck at computer stuff. But as far as like actually like looking at the big picture and like, you know, other stuff about the club that I've noticed and like pay attention to, I don't know. I just think it would, like, what a cool kind of job to like, because I've already worked here at the club in general for such a long time. But, you know, and then I was thinking, I do struggle so much with trying to stick to a schedule, or trying to like consistently be able to be at the same kind of place and time, like, you know what I mean, like especially with the winter storms and not sleeping. But in the past, I've never really been able to do that with other jobs for very long at a time, if at all. But here at the club, making my own schedule and my own hours, the way that dancers do here, I've somewhat been able to stick to a schedule that I've kind of made up for myself. Basically, like if there's somebody, this sounds so bad, this is so embarrassing, but if there's somebody here at the club that I like have a crush on, I have been able to consistently, consecutively work certain shifts based on when they would be working. So lately I've been doing that with my favorite manager. In the past, it was various DJs. And also in the past, it was a different manager that's no longer here. But I just remember like when I had that motivation of, I guess, like a love prospect. It was never really a love prospect, but that's the way that I guess I had wanted to like wish that it could be in my head. And I'm sure realistically I always knew that that was never going to actually be a possibility, like me being a stripper and them just trying to like take advantage of me and like use me like everybody else in my life. Pretty much. But I think just that hope of like a love prospect, or even just a crush was enough for me to get my ass here to the club, very consistently, very certain specific times, even for the winter storms. I mean, there were big ass winter storms. I don't know about this year. This year it probably won't be that way. Once the snow we haven't really had snow here yet, but once the snow comes this year here, I'm not going to be doing that shit. But in the past, there would be big, badass winter storms, and I would be getting my ass here to the club in the middle of that shit, driving through the snow, driving through whiteout blizzards to get here to the club because of a certain person working here at that time that I had a crush on that I wanted to work with. So it's just like me, I'm thinking now, it's like if I could do that so many times in the past with having that motivation of just being like this silly little idiot girl with a crush, it was kind of like, I guess, my substitute for what I would have wanted to hope could have been like a love prospect for me being single so long and never having been married and that kind of thing. But it's like, what if I could switch that to now instead having the motivation be to just make money, to just finally, after all this time, have an actual real job, a real income, some kind of actual quality of life, and to not have to have a husband and to not have to be in a relationship. Almost like the opposite. To have a job that I would actually like and enjoy and be good at and able to do in a good income, to where I could support myself financially and have a good quality of life and have a job, rather than having to have a relationship or get married or feel like I needed to have an additional like income or support from anybody else. That would just be so amazing. And it's like dare to dream, I guess, you know. I'm pretty sure it's actually a rule here at this club that dancers can't become employees, which is kind of funny because a lot of dancers here used to be employees. I'm pretty sure it's encouraged for the female employees here, not the managers, but there's only 2 female managers, but oh, and there actually is 6 managers total. I was saying in one of my last videos, I was like, I never can remember if it's 5 managers or 6. Right now it's 6. So once my favorite manager leaves next spring, I have been wondering, is it going to be 5, or are they going to hire somebody new or promote somebody to fill that 6th position? Or are they just going to do the schedule with 5? But anyways, right now there's 6, and there's been 6 for a while, 2 females, but it's very encouraged for the other female employees, like the front desk or the girls that work in the couch room for the lap dance area, just like bartenders sometimes, for other female employees to eventually become strippers here. So that's encouraged, whereas I don't think it's allowed for dancers that have already been dancing here to cross over to being employees. Although I could be wrong. I haven't really checked for a while, but last I heard, I'm pretty sure that's like a rule. So anyways, I mean, but again, I mean, for me to just try to get like a regular job or go back to the caregiving, I was never able to hold down a regular job. And even if I had tried or was able to do so for a short period of time, I wasn't able to make enough income to support myself as a single person in this economy. And then with my health, you know, issues, not sleeping at night, I mean, scoliosis, just, there's a long list. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, really, but I'm just not able to work a 40-hour week, a regular job. I'm just not able to do it, you know, and I have tried. I've definitely tried. But, oh gosh, so I really don't want to put the light on right now because I know it looks really bad, but it's obviously dark out here now and has been for a while. It's not even 5 o'clock yet. Yay, daylight savings. People are such geniuses, you know, like whoever actually runs stuff in the world, don't they just do such a great job What a great idea to have daylight savings so it gets dark an hour earlier than it already would. That's just genius. That's just brilliant. So I have these notes written down. After this video is almost an hour and 20 minutes. Well, it's 75 minutes right now. It says, oh my gosh, that's what it says. And I haven't even really looked at these notes very much. So after everything I just said, let me just look at my notes of things that I wanted to say. Jesus. This is a coffee filter, by the way. A lot of times, when I'll take my notes on, it's like wrappers from like cans of vegetables and stuff. It's just the most random, oh God, random crap sometimes. I'll take notes on anything I can find a lot of times. Oh, there's Paris. Oh. Man. So 2 guys just walked out the club, and I remember them walking in when I was just like, I don't know, however long ago. I should have checked the time. They weren't in there very long at all, but they were 2 younger guys. So whenever I see younger guys, I'm like, ooh. Oh, there's 2 more guys walking out, and they're younger too. Why is everybody leaving? If I was in there right now, you guys, oh God, this drives me nuts. I haven't been able to do a YouTube video in almost a week now, and I just wanted to come in here, and it's like, what have I been missing? And there's never anybody in there when I'm in there. Like all night long, there's like nobody. And it's like, how are these 4 or 5 young, cute guys just walked out of there? And how were they even in there in the first place? Because when I went in there, I went into the club when I first got here, and there was nobody in there. There's never anybody in there. This is all just a very, very frustrating illusion, and it's pissing me the fuck off. This is such a nightmare. Like, it's such a nightmare. Oh God, I hate this shit so much. This is such a fucking nightmare. I'm so sick of this shit. Is it bad to say that I hope my mother burns in hell? I don't really. I love her so much. But really, I think her tough love approach is a little bit extreme, to the point where she deserves to burn in hell. Or I'm pretty sure I'm already in hell, to be honest. This has to be purgatory or just actual hell. Pretty much, probably. Oh God. I take that back. I feel so bad. That's just an evil thing to say. But honestly though, what if I could just say everything that I wanted to say unfiltered? Now that I'm holding up this coffee filter, let's take away the coffee filter, and now I'm unfiltered for real. Now I can really say what I want to say without this coffee filter over my face. Filtered, unfiltered. I hope my mother burns in hell! Just kidding. I'm already doing it for her. Oh God. Oh, I don't fucking know. What is all this shit? Oh my gosh. Guys, I can't do this right now. It's too dark, and this video was already almost an hour and 20 minutes. You know what I was thinking of doing anyways though? Okay, well there's one other thing I wanted to mention. So at the start of this video, I was talking about my shift last Wednesday and how there were so many dancers and, as usual, like pretty much no customers. I swear to God, last Wednesday, there were dancers that I was seeing that I hadn't seen in years. There were so many dancers working. Like, there were dancers, again, I don't know how else to put it. There were dancers that I hadn't seen in like over 5 years, up until that very night. Dancers that I hadn't seen in so long. like new dancers, old dancers. It's like all of a sudden they were all coming out of the woodwork from like, not centuries back, but almost like a decade back, like a decade or longer. Well, a decade or longer for some of them in some cases. Just like from so long ago to where I had definitely forgotten that they existed. Just like, and all in the same night. It was very weird. Nothing is real, apparently. It's just all a very, very frustrating illusion, just like the internet. Fuck this coffee filter right now. I'm not gonna deal with that right now. This paper though that I have, the coffee filter is from last Wednesday or maybe Thursday. But this paper is more recent that I did, I think, no, this paper I did this morning or this afternoon before I came out today. So I'm going to take a screen. Oh, I already did. Before I left, I actually already took a screenshot on my phone of this paper. But I might try to take another screenshot of this paper here at the club. And then I'm just going to post it, I think, on the post section of my channel. I'm pretty sure at least some of this I probably already said. Oh, so you guys can get more of like an inside view of my very disturbed brain. I'm pretty sure I did probably mention most of what's on this paper to some extent. But, oh God. Okay, but I do want to try to include this in this if I can. So back what I was saying about the club and how when I can, I'll try to think of trying to do things in a way that's going to be good, not just for me, but for as many other people as possible. You know, like trying to encourage the guys here to tip other dancers on the stage and just that kind of thing. Because the way that I see it, the club is essentially a company, and if other people do well, the company does well. I work for this company, therefore it should, in theory, be good for me too, because this is a company that I work for. And I kind of see the world in that same way, I guess. Or I try to think of because to me, everything is connected. We're all connected. So, you know, like, I guess some people would more so be concerned with primarily themselves in that immediate moment and how things directly affect them in the ways that they're most aware of in those immediate moments or in their own personal lives. But it's like, I kind of see, like, America, for instance, is said to actually be a company. Like, if you look on dollar bills, I'm pretty sure on dollar bills, it says LLC somewhere. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I really want to look right now, but I've heard somewhere before that America, we call it a country, but it's actually technically a company. Either way, I mean, it's pretty much treated like a company, like pretty much everything, but not even just America, but the world as a whole. So, like, yeah, it's very frustrating to me that it seems like the way society is set up, it's a lot of times pretty much damn near impossible for a single person that was not born into wealth, that was pretty much born in, not into a person that doesn't really come from money, or that might not have a whole lot of opportunities, small towns, poverty, that kind of thing. People that have struggles, I guess, such as myself, that would maybe only qualify for minimum wage kind of jobs, if that. You know, But even if they were to try to work, try their best to get the 40 hours or work as much as they can, you know, it's kind of like society is set up to where it's just so difficult to try to get by on your own doing that kind of thing with a regular, average, everyday, blue collar, minimum wage kind of jobs. But also, especially for the adult industry, it seems like a lot of the adult industry is, as a dancer and otherwise, other aspects of the adult industry, it's set up to be very, very, very difficult and confusing. Very, very difficult to qualify for things like healthcare. Very, very difficult to understand or be able to figure out how you're really supposed to do things financially and otherwise. And almost like they want us to be as down and out and desperate as possible, you know, just to like be willing to do more with guys or push our boundaries more or just beg everybody at the club for that last little dollar, you know what I mean, for any dollar possible or whatever it would take, to be willing to do whatever it takes, basically. um, but it's like, can we maybe eventually at some point ever possibly evolve past that to any extent, maybe? Like why does it have to be like that? Because the way I see it, we are all connected as a society. So, you know, if one person or one group of people really, really struggles or does poorly, I just feel like it's, if not, maybe it's more indirectly, not as immediate or as noticeable, but that probably does in some way, shape, or form affect others and somehow other parts, because we're all connected. So if some people do good or struggle, that's more likely to trickle into other areas, other people, affect others. Whereas if a certain person or group of people does well, they're more able to give to others around them and to society and to evoke positive things in life and in the world around them. That's the way that I want to think about it, or that I want to see things anyways. But I do think that's also, you know, could be likely and possible. So it's like, why? You know, why does it have to be set up against us so much, it seems, to make things so difficult and so damn near impossible? And just, you know, yeah, because the world at large and all of us being connected, it kind of like it is one big company, or society. Society is basically like one big company, a group of people. I mean, what is company? A company is a business, but company can also mean others around you, society. And then down towards the bottom of this page, I just want to mention toll collectors, like on the highways, or like getting onto the highways when you're driving. Where I am, I try not to take the highway very often because every single dollar I try to cling to desperately. So I'll try to take the back roads, like, to get to places when I can. But where I am, when I do go onto the highway, you know, and like give the dollar to the toll person, there are still human toll collectors there in the toll booths. But my grandmother lives a state over from me, and she said that where she is, a lot of the toll booths are now automated. So there's no people in them anymore. And I guess from what I've heard, what I've gathered, that is pretty common and oftentimes the case for a lot of other places around the country, where a lot of the toll booths these days no longer have humans in them and it's just automated. Another thing that's just automated. So then I'm thinking more jobs that are being lost to technology. And, you know, so maybe some people would want to say, oh, well, that's saving taxpayer money. or that kind of thing. But, you know, what about, well, those people, some people could say, oh, they're just sitting on their ass, just collecting dollars. But I don't know. I like having a human in the toll booth when I go to them. I usually prefer the human version of things, not always. But it's like, okay, well, if they're not able to have that job anymore, yeah, maybe it would save taxpayer money somehow in that regard, but they would need to fill that with a different job. That person that lost that job, they would have to get a different job, or if they're not able to get a different job, which might also be taken over by technology, then wouldn't they have to get some kind of government assistance? Or try to, at least? I mean, wouldn't they be more likely to try to get financial aid not having that job, which would also cost taxpayer money, wouldn't it? I could be wrong. I'm not really too sure how that whole thing works. I just know that from my perspective, you know, being a single, lonely, vulnerable human myself, when I drive, I'm 9 times out of 10 by myself in my car. I have given rides to quite a few people, and dancers primarily over the years, but I'm usually by myself when I drive. And I just know that if I'm out on the road by myself and something were to go wrong, if I were to get lost or just some kind of issue were to arise, I would feel much better knowing that at the whatever toll booth I might be able to get myself to, there would be a human in there versus not. So, and it's just nice, you know, it's nice, you know, it's like almost like regulars when you go to certain toll booths, like, you know, many times and you see familiar faces and you have a nice little hello and you hand them $1 and they say thank you and I say thank you too or whatever it is. And it's just nice and short and brief. It's friendly but brief. You know, I like that, brief. Friendly but brief. But that's literally how I want to wrap this video up. I just prefer for there to be humans in the toll booths, okay? So yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's nice for people to have whatever jobs we can manage to keep around for people, like, because even if you're saving money in one way, it's just going to cost resources or, you know what I mean, jobs or money in some other area. I don't know. It's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I do like human toll people in the booths when I do go to them. So I want people to stay in the toll booths. I don't want them to be automated. That's just my opinion. Oh my gosh. I do want to post a screenshot of this paper. And maybe some of my other notes too. Just so you guys can see, if you want to, like, more of what I'm trying to go on sometimes when I do these videos. It's such a jumbled mess. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, I have endless pages and coffee filters and paper plates of all these, like, random jumbled notes. It's all just such a mess, like most of my world is. So I do have my car on right now so that my phone is charging, and I actually do have the heat on right now, and it is still freaking freezing. And it says it's only 47 degrees, 47 compared to lately. That's actually, like, today has been quite a bit warmer than it's been lately. So it's just really cold in here. I mean, I am wearing short sleeves, but whatever. Oh gosh. So I guess, yeah, for now, I'll just wrap this up and tuck away my little coffee filter here. Oh God. I'm tempted to, like, blast this heat right now before I go in, but then I'm definitely not gonna want to go in or get out of this car right now. So yeah, I guess this is over an hour and a half. That's crazy. Well, again, I mentioned at the start of this video, this is my first time doing a video here, being over my data limit on my phone. So How fucked would it be if none of this even posts? Oh my gosh, I don't want to jinx it or even say that out loud. But most of the stuff that I say out loud is pretty scary for me to try to say. So anyway, woo! It is Tuesday, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway, for a few more hours anyways. Well, it was great that I was able to get my ass out and about today and do this video. Tomorrow will be the day before Thanksgiving, so I want to think that I'm going to try to come out, you know, and hopefully there'll be some people that want to get out and about as well for that before they have to do their, you know, whole family time kind of crap, kind of thing. Oh, I don't know. And then maybe I'll try to get out Thursday so I can do like a FaceTime video chat with my mom and my gram and maybe do a video then. I don't know. It's so difficult for me to get out when it's as cold as it is, and I have all these boxes and boxes stacked in front of my door and just all this stuff. Everything is just all such this incredibly difficult hassle for me, it feels like, and my bag is so heavy, like, oh my god, lugging that thing around and being terrified to not have it with me at all times, you know, and like and still being worried that stuff still somehow goes missing from there, like even being on my person 24/7, and it's just like, holy crap. But anyways, it would be great if I would be able to get my ass out tomorrow and possibly even Thursday as well. Maybe come on and try to wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure I have a turkey colored dress I could wear. Oh God. I feel like I'm about to start my period any second, and I also have to fart, so I better get going. Oh God, my stomach hurts so bad. Oh, it hurts! It hurts so bad! Anyway, oh God. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up for now. But I hope people are well out there, at least some of you guys. And till next time. Bye for now, guys.